Why do our security services feel the need to be so, right on?
I mean, frankly, because they've been penetrated by DEI.
A checklist of, should this guy get citizenship? At no point did they go, his first name's Jihad, shall we have another look?
The building of this hurricane is coming, and a very serious indicator that I look at is how big Nigel Farage is on Cameo.
I joined Cameo and I made it £500,000 in the hope that someone would get drunk and book me by accident.
As the only American at this table, I'll just say, I think the UK is ready, but only if you can learn to love yourselves again.
Combination of Nigel Farage and number 10, Harry Cole saving the West. There is hope. There is hope out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Charm will get you nowhere. Right, well, a heavy evening and sad evening, but maybe perhaps some lighter debate now with Jonathan Brown, former COO of Reform UK, a clear Nigel Farage ally, and his sidekick, Archie Manners. I mean, how do we even describe Archie Manners?
Magician, I'm like Cher or Adele. I'm just
magician to the stars, and a man who's done some consulting work for Reform. And John Levine from the Washington Free Beacon is still with us. Jonathan, just with you used to work at the MOD. You're a security expert as well. Can I get your reflections on what happened today, just before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, I think absolutely appalling day for the Jewish community. What I would like to see now, and we've talked to a lot of your guests talking about this, Keir Starmer needs to actively condemn those who support this, and also, frankly, the Gaza protest, the sheer insensitivity of people rioting outside Downing Street.
Do you think they
after
should be?
An attack like
do you
this.
think they should be banned? The march should be banned on Saturday?
Yes, yes, I do, and they are very willing to ban right-wing marches. So this gaslighting we've been having over the past, frankly, year, in which the threat is from the right, prevents the counter-terrorism specialists, must focus on the right wing. The threat's always been what it has been since 9/11. It's from radical Islam, and we have let that breed and breed and breed in this country.
The threat is indeed from Islamism, but there's been a lot of focus in the sort of security world, in the sort of woke security world, that actually this idea of right-wing terrorism is as bad or as equal to the threat of Islamism. This just doesn't bear out, does it?
Not at all. I mean, it's been absolutely...
Why do our security services feel the need to be so, right on?
I mean, frankly, because they've been penetrated by DEI, and the outgoing chief of MI6, Richard Moore, has...
Flew the trans flag on the James Bond's headquarters.
And not just that, he has essentially blocked any white man becoming into a senior position under his leadership. He has said that explicitly.
Yep.
It's a double thing. They've been captured. They've been captured.
There was amazing. I'm going down a tangent here, but there was an amazing advert they put out on Instagram for recruiting to MI6, where they said, "You might well think that the best and brightest graduates of the UK were running the security services. That's not true." And they were saying it as if that was a good thing. Archie, is this some astonishingly harsh words for Keir Starmer tonight from Lord Warney there, from Elon Levy there tonight, from John Levine as well. This is going to become a political issue back in London, isn't it? And rightly so, right?
And so it should be. The Telegraph are reporting now that this guy came over as a child. That now seems to be confirmed. So he was born in Syria.
So failed by the British state, no doubt.
Well, I mean,
still John Levine.
It's amazing.
It was society which
they went through
failed
the checklist
jihad.
of, should this guy get citizenship? At no point did they go, his first name's Jihad. Shall we have another look? Anyway, it's going to be a major problem. And I think Jonathan was talking about the marches. It seems to me that just out of common sense and decency, the organisers should postpone it, right? Whether you ban it or not is a separate issue, but just out of decency and respect.
I don't think we've seen much decency and respect on those marches. Oh. Gentlemen, you both worked closely with Reform in various capacities. Archie, you just made a very good point in the break that Reform are the only political party left, really. I think the Tories would probably dispute this, but that in mainstream political party in the UK still giving full-throated support to Israel.
Absolutely. They are the only party that is still doing so. Richard Tice, the deputy leader, was there only last week. And they are, frankly, the only option, I think, left for the Jewish community. And that's not necessarily a great thing for Reform. It's more, in my mind, a sadness of the state of British politics, that the other parties are not ready or willing to stand up.
Well, again, but also, I mean, it has become a sectarian political fighting point, right? In seats, Wes Streeting's seat, Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary's seat, there are a number of Labour MPs where if they're not being threatened by reform to lose their seats at the next election, they've got these Gaza independents, which is such a wonderfully euphemistic name for their political party, breathing down their necks. Do you think for reform there is electoral, and without getting too gritty, electoral potential in supporting of Israel, or is it going to put voters off?
I think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Actually. I think that it's for them, it's civilizational. They've seen the threat the Jewish community has been under now for decades, and they are doing the right thing and standing up and saying, no, we will not put up with this. And they are the only people willing to do that. I actually don't think it is an electoral leverage for them, actually. Yeah. I think, there's probably reform supporters on both sides. It's never been the biggest issue.
Well, given that the scale of the reforms vote at the moment, if the election was held tomorrow, I think the last poll showed they would have more than enough of a majority in the House of Commons to govern. You've both worked closely with reform, and I'd love to get John's perspective as an outsider. Is Nigel Farage ready to be the Prime Minister of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Archie?
Yes, I think he probably is. I think we're a way off in terms of policy development and the party generally. It's a long way off an election, but the combination of Nigel Farage and number 10, Harry Cole saving the West, there is hope. There is hope out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Charm will get you nowhere.
We've got Harry.
Charm will get you nowhere. Jonathan, do you think he's ready?
Yes, I do. I mean, you've got to remember Nigel's been a politician for 30 years now.
Yeah.
And he has campaigned against enormous resistance to the establishment.
Is the party ready? Have they got the funding in place? Have they got the money? They've got to find 400 odd candidates and MPs. Candidates has been where they get things wrong sometimes. There's been some wackos that have slipped through the net, so to speak. A
year ago they were on 12%, now they're on 35%. So have they got everything in place yet? Of course not. But they've made absolutely enormous strides to get that ready. Yeah. And then you get a spectacle. Look at the Labour government, right? Major party. God help us. But they're a major party. They knew they were going to get into power. They essentially let one person, Sue Gray, look after their entire agenda.
For American viewers and friends, Sue Gray was a lifetime bureaucrat who they just thought would be a good idea to put in charge of a political party.
Yeah, and I had a very good friend, not on my political persuasion, who I was in university with. She was in the cabinet office, and she said they thought Sue Gray was doing the plan.
Yeah.
Sue Gray wasn't doing the plan. No one asked her.
Exactly.
So the idea to criticise reform, which has done nothing but build up its expertise, its policy offering over the last year, is it ready at this moment? Not quite, but it will be.
John Levine, you've tracked the rise of Donald Trump, the rise of MAGA. Do you think the Brits are seeing a sort of similar shaking up of the system?
Absolutely. All the same ingredients are there. The building of this hurricane is coming, and a very serious indicator that I look at is how big Nigel Farage is on Cameo.
Well, he's huge on Cameo.
And he's everywhere, and you cannot run into a British Zoomer. And I, American, did not really appreciate
Nigel will like this. Which camera? Go to Nigel's Cameo, pay $75.
Well, hang on. Nigel Farage can plug his outside interest when he comes on this show.
Santos asked for like $400. It's a bargain.
I am actually Cameo's most expensive talent. I joined Cameo and I made it £500,000 in the hope that someone would get drunk and book me by accident.
How's that going for you?
I recorded no cameos.
And you didn't even bring your magic tricks, your deck of cards. That's terrible.
Your one USP gone.
Before this show completely falls over, I'm going to flip it around a bit. Right, you say Nigel Farage and Reform are ready-ish. Nigel's ready to be PM. Reform will be ready to run the country, apparently, in a couple of years' time. Is the country ready for Nigel Farage? And Jonathan, with your long, distinguished career in the British state, we saw what happened to Donald Trump. In his first presidency, the deep state were not ready for Donald Trump. Did everything they possibly could to make that known publicly. And I keep being tempted to swear tonight. I'm not going to do it, but mess him up a little bit. Yeah. Is the deep state ready for Nigel Farage?
The civil service is a deep state. Who knows? But the civil service has been thoroughly saturated in the whole DEI agenda over the past 5 years, in particular. Right at the top, a lot of civil servants have used it to get to the top, frankly, to advance their careers. It's going to be a shock when that goes. I think that's going to be the biggest shock. On the other hand, civil servants are very used to flipping their minds when governments come in and out.
Yeah, but nothing never seems to change. And that's I think the problem is that the Tories had 14 years trying to get stuff done, didn't go well, got tonked. Labour come in, promising change. Within 6 weeks they're going, oh God, these Tories guys were right about this. It is chaos. Nigel Farage, theoretically comes in, pulls all these levers, nothing happens. That's when things.
He's going to do things differently. Your point about
then,
whether the public is ready for him is a very good one, because he's not going to do the traditional leadership that we've seen so far. He's talking about appointing people to cabinet who may not necessarily be MPs.
Yeah.
It could be members of the House of Lords, which would...
Yeah, having Scott Bessent run the US Treasury is slightly better than having someone who's never actually run a fund, run a large amount of money.
So it's going to be a different system, I think. It'll be something we haven't seen before in terms of how he governs.
Yeah, and there's also, the plan is developing in place, looking at what you do first 100 days. I think the great thing about Nigel is he's coming in after we've seen what happened in Trump's first term and how different it was in Trump's second term. So he knows to learn those lessons and be ready. Also, we've seen the disaster domestically of Liz Truss, the former UK Prime Minister, one who lasted less time than a lettuce.
Enough time to write an excellent book about it.
That is a by Harris book.
One for the connoisseurs.
If you've got a wobbly, it really is the right...
excellent book, but that's a lesson.
As the only American in this table, I'll just say, I think the UK is ready, but only if you can learn to love yourselves again. And I feel like the United Kingdom, much of Europe is caught in the grips of a self-loathing of Western culture and who you are, and all of the amazing contributions of the United Kingdom and of the British Empire that ended slavery in the world and was one of the most civilizing forces on earth. And don't run away from your history and don't run away from your heritage, I beg you, as an Anglophile.
Thanks, sir.
Well, we're definitely going to clip that bit up, won't we? Jonathan, we saw, Trump, or that point you made there about Trump too. He came in, he had 200 executive orders ready to go. He moved fast and broke things. He said, he said what he was going to do. He did what he said he was going to do before the election, which is quite a unique thing to have in a politician. What can Nigel Farage learn directly from Donald Trump?
I mean, Trump had the benefit of the first term,
yes,
where a lot of stuff did not go the way it was, and you had the deep state essentially obfuscate and gum up the works everywhere. Bureaucrats, by their nature, are about gumming up the works, and someone like Nigel, they're going to pull every trick in the book to prevent his agenda from going through, and you have to follow what Trump has done here and blow past it.
Gentlemen, you both know Nigel Farage well. Does he know the scale of what is going to happen? Do you have any idea how raging the BBC, the Guardian, the Third Sector, the charities, all of that lot are going to be at the prospect of a reform government?
I think, frankly, if you've been Nigel the last few years and been attacked across the board from all the establishment, it's all you know, frankly. I think he knows absolutely the challenge to face.
The sense of responsibility, from what I gain in conversations with him, is dawning too.
Well,
he might now be Prime Minister.
He's famous for his fags and booze and laddie image. Yes, he's still got a lot of that, but he's not. I don't imagine he's.
He's starting himself up a bit. He said, "We're not."
I don't imagine Lunch with Nigel Farage is like Lunch with Nigel Farage 20 years ago.
No, it's not. Thankfully.
Do you think is he getting the right amount of support around him and the right advice around him?
I think so far so good. Right, the polls are doing very well. So.
And do you think that this government will go all the way? Because he seems to suggest there could be an election sooner.
I think the government will go all the way. Whether Starmer goes all the way at the top of it is a very different question. But I'd be surprised, and I may end up regretting this, I'd be surprised if there was an election.
Never make political predictions, but they'd be mad to go to the polls now. They are so unpopular. They're going to push it right away, I think.
Guys, we'll have to wrap there. John Levine, thanks for joining us today. Jonathan, Archie, right, well, a horrible day, but a little bit of light relief at the end. There we go. Don't forget, subscribe on Harry Cole Saves the West on YouTube, and I will see you on Monday.